Hello, nice to see you back. So, today we are going to have a look at which martial arts are we going to choose. After we talked about finding the correct dojo or school, now we can have a look at which school maybe you're choosing because of the martial arts you're looking for. So, if we are coming from this angle, then let's have a look at what are the reasons and the different martial arts that you can choose from and how you could decide and what plays into that. So, first of all, it's a little bit of a complicated thing. There's no real right answer here, as everyone has their preferences and all of them have a different focus and different mindset behind them. Yeah, so some of them, they are more rule-based, some of them they are more based upon some principles, and some of them are more realistic, and some of them are more tournament and competition focused. So it really depends on what you're looking for. So let's get into it. So first thing which comes to mind is rules in martial arts, for me at least. So if you think about it, there are some martial arts which have a basic rule set of things that are allowed and things that are not allowed. So why is that, and how does that change our martial arts? So basically we have rules to, first of all, to not hurt ourselves if we have a competition, and on the second thing we have rules so we can be more specific on what we can train and specify in that specific mindset or rule set that we are trying to comprehend and get closer to. So if you are looking for something with rules, there will always be the thing that it's more tournament focused and people will have to study the rules, and also the person you're training with will have those rules. On the other hand, it can be a little bit more complicated if you say, well, I want this to use it for real fighting on the streets, and other people are not using rules. But that's a self-defense topic. That's also some other things are playing into that, like why are we trying to learn self-defense? Shouldn't we also try to learn how to avoid fights? Well, that's true as well. We should also learn that. But rarely any martial arts schools teach that, so keep that in mind if you're training and looking for something. So mostly you're training for the fight itself. Yeah. Then what happens if you have rules? If you have rules, then it's easier to train with a partner in a real scenario, because you set those rules so you do not really hurt each other as much. That's the idea. It doesn't always work out like that, as you know from watching any rule-based martial arts like mixed martial arts or boxing. Those are heavy rule-based, but you know how the people can look after a fight, so doesn't mean that it's less dangerous. So can even increase the danger since people go more all out. Yeah. So, but it means always that there's more likely sparring happening in that martial arts training itself. So if you're interested in one of those martial arts, make sure that if you're checking out a martial arts gym, that if they are doing sparring there, that they are not really hitting each other too much on the head real hard, only because it's sparring and, well, we have gloves on and we're not really punching hard on the head and stuff like that. Well, it's try to keep that in mind. Yeah. So what else can we talk about? We can talk about some more concrete rules that are even more tournament based. Yes, we have some martial arts which are more throwing oriented, which are having more grappling, like jiu-jitsu maybe. So those, they are maybe having some limitations, like not punching the head or something like this, but a lot of other things are allowed to keep the possibility of an injury lower and still have high pressure fights with each other. So that's also a thing that if you say, well, I only want to do this to measure myself with others, have some tournaments, have some fun, and have some really hardcore body fitness training, then you can also go for those. So there's also a lot of martial arts that have long traditions and histories. So depending on which martial art you choose, a lot of, for example, Eastern martial arts have long lineages and long histories, and maybe there's a lot of tradition and maybe also a little bit of cult into those. So if you're interested in something like that, that can work out. Also there on the same martial arts, for example Kung Fu, the schools also quite differentiate this for themselves. Like some of the schools maybe are more into that thing, and other schools are more open for discussion and are more free to talk about things and less stiff and traditional. Yeah, but some of those teachings maybe are not up to date with today's standards. Some of the teachings and some of the martial arts or some of the lineages may have adapted. So if you choose one of those martial arts, you really have to check out some of the different gyms to get a feeling on if you're really into that, or if it's just looking like fake to you, and if it's not real. So how do you find that out? So basically that goes for all of the martial arts. You can have a look at how are people training with each other. If they are not having free sparring, everyone does what they want. If you're just having some move sets and one person is the one who's training and the other person is just the dummy helping the other person, then you can also see how well the training is to a close fight, how close is it, depending on how the dummy acts. So if the dummy is just like really slow and throwing punches like this, and the other person can then do their thing and do their moveset, then it's not really realistic. But if the dummy is more like has in mind that he wants to hit the other person and not slow down and not stop, like just punching and coming from the angles, and it looks more realistic, then you can guess, well, it looks like the reaction and the technique that's being trained here could more likely be used in a real situation. So that's something that really helps to see how real something like those traditional martial arts might be, or the school you're in. Doesn't mean for all the martial arts. Then what also do we have? We also have for you, if you think about, well, how much time am I going to spend on this martial arts training, and why do I even train? So maybe that's a question you should ask yourself earlier already to help you decide. We mentioned tournaments, we mentioned maybe tradition, we mentioned how good can you really use that as self-defense, and now maybe the other thing, well, what if you're just looking for a more interesting sport than lifting weights to power you out, to grow some muscles and really just get fit and have something to get your mind out of work and on all the things that you're trying to get away from in your life, then maybe you can choose something that's more focused on that. And there are also martial arts for this. Yeah, there are martial arts that are more like enforcing and heavy, and maybe, I don't know, Krav Maga or something like that, where you can go really hard into training. Yeah? And there are also some martial arts that are really soft on training and are more mindful to get yourself to calm down, to also get something to get you out of the working mind, like Tai Chi or something like that, where most likely people are aware that this is not really used as self-defense, this is not really used for tournaments, but it's really good for getting a feeling for your body and for your mind and growing on another level. So based on that, it's really different to see which goal you have, and depending on that you can have a look at the different martial arts. And the most important thing is, if you try a martial art, just don't stick to it. If you don't like it, don't feel forced to stay there for 2 years to get any progress. If you're not feeling it in the early months or in the early weeks, well then most likely you should either try another gym or go and try a different martial art. So I hope that helps you to make you up your mind a little bit and see which martial art you're going to have a look at. And if you're still looking for the right way to find a gym, then you can also check out my video over here and have a look at that as well. So please post your favorite martial art in the comment, so everyone has already some ideas on what is something that maybe someone is into. So see you over there.